Hello, this video is meant to help you get started with the City Colleges of Chicago. This video is coming out of the Alumni Support Office at Noble Schools. So a couple things to note about getting started with the City Colleges of Chicago. They're going to provide you with a deadline to register. Here's the thing, it actually takes 5 days to complete all of the steps that get you to registration. So if you're thinking about registering for the City Colleges of Chicago and they have a deadline, deduct 5 days from that, and that is where, at minimum, you have to get started. The other thing to note, you have to bring in a couple documents, so you should get that prepared along the way. So the first is proof of residency. You're going to have to turn in or provide proof that you are a resident of Chicago and the state of Illinois. You can do that with a state ID. The other is a high school or college transcript. You're going to have to turn those in. The last, this is optional. You can turn in your ACT or SAT scores so that you can test out of placement testing. All right, let's get started. Step one, pretty easy. You just have to complete an online application. And you can do that at ccc.edu/apply. It's going to take about 15 minutes. And quick tip, if you have a social security number, you should include it in that application. Don't wait until later, especially if you plan on using FAFSA. Because if you don't, you're going to have to also bring in a copy of your social security card. You don't want to have to bring in additional documents. Just provide the information here. Step two, set up your portal. So about 15 minutes after you submit your application, you'll receive an email with login information. That login information will have a temp ID and your username. You'll use that information to go to mycc.edu and log in. Again, you're using the username that they've provided to you and the temporary password. Once you've done that, you'll get access to your portal. And this is what your portal will look like. Your next steps to registration are below here. And then they'll provide a video which you can watch here. Step three, placement testing. Placement testing can take some time. You click on that button, and it's going to take you to the placement testing portal or page. And just to note, if you're taking the placement test, if you have to take the placement test, it takes 2 to 3 days to process. So you want to get this done as soon as possible. However, if you have a 21 on the ACT in math and a 21 on the ACT in English, you can actually use your ACT scores to place out of taking the placement test. You just have to submit your scores. Additionally, if you have a 540 on the SAT in English and a 530 on the SAT in math, then you can place out. Now, here's the thing. Let's say you have a 20 on the ACT math, but a 21 on the English. That means you have to take the math test, but you don't have to take the English test. It's not all, you have to have a 21 on both of them to place out. You'll place out of whichever one you have reached these scores for. So in order to place out though, you have to turn in your scores to the placement center. You can print out your scores from act.org or collegeboard.org. Additionally, once you click on that placement testing page, you can find more information. The most important information here is, where is that placement center at? What's the phone number? What's the room that it's located in? And when can you go in? So it's really important to take note of that information. Other information on here is the math test. You can actually take the math test at home. Here's the thing. Don't think that this isn't important. You have to prepare for the math test, because if you take it at home and you don't take it seriously, you can test into a class that is going to require additional classes to take in order to graduate, which means a lot of money out of pocket. So make sure that you prepare for this math test. If you have to take the English test, you have to do it at that campus, at the placement center. Pre-registration. So a couple things. Before you can register for classes, you have to actually sign up for orientation. The way to sign up for orientation is different depending on the school that you choose. If it's Malcolm or Harold or Truman, they're all going to be different. So it's going to be important that you click on registration, watch this video, and then you look up the information and call the school to find out how to register for classes for your specific school. Couple things to note. If you're a first-time student, you have to register for classes at orientation with your advisor. Again, prior to signing up for orientation, actually placement testing has to be complete. You can't sign up before placement testing is done. That's why you have to do placement testing as soon as possible. To sign up, make sure you call them at the number listed to the left or just below that registration. Complete all of the steps for the pre-registration, which they're going to ask you different survey questions like, what's your preferred schedule? What kinds of classes are you interested in? Complete all of those steps before going to orientation. The last thing on here is your finances. So it's going to be important that if you can use FAFSA or financial aid, if you've completed FAFSA, that you click on this button here using financial aid. You'll want to do that because you want to use your financial aid if it's offered to you. You'll also have to complete these other check marks, which is, have you put down whichever city college of Chicago that you're going to go to? Have you put it on your FAFSA? Have you submitted the documents that you need to submit? You can actually look at which documents you need to submit here on that review your financial aid to-do list. And then they can see if you're on track academically. Generally, if you're a first-time student, you would be. Once you get those completed, then you just have to personally go into orientation. Don't miss your appointment. You can reschedule it, but don't do it because it wastes time. And if you're up against that registration deadline, you're not going to have time to reschedule. So make sure you attend registration, that you're on time. And then during orientation and registration, you're going to meet with your advisor who's going to get you all set up with your classes. Make sure you check in with your alumni counselor or your college counselor once you're all done. Let me know if you have any questions.